high resolution does not mean 300 DPI. Hey everyone, welcome to Keep Shooting Monday number 113. My name is Greg Cazillo from Cazillo.com. So I wrote a Medium post yesterday and put it up and talked about the fact that people still, number one, don't understand the difference between PPI and DPI, and the fact that the 300 DPI myth. That for some reason, magically, when you make it at 300 PPI, which is the correct term, that all of a sudden the image is high resolution. If you do a quick Google search for 300 DPI myth and start reading some of those posts that are out there and realize that there are so many out there that actually try to educate people, but for some reason this keeps on coming up and going, and somebody said posted on, I think it was Facebook, as this comes up every 6 months, and yeah, it does, because people still just don't get it. And so I thought I would bring it up again, and I would try to educate again, even though I had done a video on this probably about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. I had talked about this, and I just found it the other day. So the reason why this came up is because I had found a post on Medium. Actually, I was doing some research for a client, and it was about website design, and reading this post and look over it, and they say, well, they showed a graphic of two images. One image showed a supposed image at 300 DPI, and the other one supposedly at 72 DPI, and that the 300 was nice and crisp and sharp, and the 72 was not. Well, that is the wrong way to think about it. That is an incorrect assumption. And then I posted 3 images immediately after that on my post, that showing one image that was at 1 PPI, one image that was at 72 PPI, and another image that was at 300 PPI. And when you look at it on your screen, you cannot tell the difference. Even if you blow them up and you zoom in and your make the image bigger, do anything with it, you cannot tell the difference. And that's intentional. That's the way it should be. Now, what really needs to, the proper term is to use your pixel resolution, okay? The number of pixels on the long side and the short side, the width and the height, as far as how big it actually is. It's pixel count, more or less. You're counting the pixels on the long side and on the short side. The way to do that, and then another way to think about that is your megapixels. What's a megapixel? So if you have a 10 megapixel camera, a 14 megapixel camera, it's going to be around 4,000 pixels on the long side, maybe 4,500. Then you get up in the 20s, they're 7,000. So it's the same idea. I have a quote here from Wikipedia. DPI, which is dots per inch, refers to the output resolution of a printer or image setter, and PPI, pixels per inch, refers to the input resolution of a photograph or image. DPI refers to the physical dot density of an image when it is reproduced in real physical entity, for example, printed onto paper. So you should not be using the term DPI at all when it refers to an image. It should be PPI, and that could be just semantics. And as I said in my Medium post, if it was only people using that wrong term, I wouldn't freak out about it. Kind of like the term drone is the wrong term for a UAV. The Navy coined that term long ago for something that they were going to use as a target for a missile, not what we have today, which are unmanned aircraft that are remotely controlled. So it's, the media has blown it up, and now it's ubiquitous, and there's nothing we can do about it, even though it's the wrong term. Anyway, back to my other rant. If you do see this somewhere, someone says, I kind of like to ask it the right way first, or the the open-ended way, on purpose to test the person and see how educated they are on the subject, and then I will educate them. Send them to my Medium post. Maybe they'll finally get it. They'll stop saying it. They'll understand how it actually works. If not, maybe they need to go back to school. They need to learn a lot more. There's tons of designers, tons of printers, tons of photographers even that still keep this 300 DPI myth going all the time. So just help me out, please. Get this out there, and maybe we can be done with it once and for all. Although I have a feeling that won't be the case. Last week I posted a review of the Epson V850 Pro scanner. This thing really is a joy to use. Super high quality desktop scanner. Love the workflow when I have two sets of film holders. I'm able to load one, because a lot of times, you only put in 3 strips in a 35 millimeter negative, or maybe one 4x5, or 2 strips in the 2 1/4 medium format range. And so it's nice to be able to have those 2 sets of film holders. Also, the great thing about this also is that I was introduced to Silverfast software. You can, I didn't mention in the other post in the video that you actually can use the included scan targets. I had issues with the i1 software. I could never get it to install on my Windows 7 machine, and I didn't bother to try and install them on my new Windows 10 machine. Basically, the i1 software comes with a scan target. You can scan that, and you can get a good profile of the scanner so that you know how your scanner is rendering color. You can use that included target with the Silverfast software, although it does take a lot more time in order to scan that and pick each color and download files and that kind of thing. It's just easier just to save the time and to buy the ones from Silverfast. But they will take a little bit longer for you to get going. The Silverfast software takes your scanner really to the next level, just as I said in the video. You're able to do so many more things with it. You can do batch scanning. It'll automatically line up and find each of the images and crop them out automatically. It'll automatically do what they call ISRD, or their dust removal system. They actually just added in the newest version. You can now apply that dust removal to negatives, to transparencies, and to reflective media, not just the transparencies and reflective media as before. So that's really good. And in the Epson software, you can only do 2 of them with the digital ice software. So it's nice to be able to have that. It's just one more. It just saves you time. And when you're doing a lot of scanning, anytime you do scanning, you're going to have dust issues. All the time, no matter what you do, you're going to have dust you're going to have to get rid of. And so you need to deal with it. And the way you deal with it is to take a file into Photoshop and retouch it all. And that's just a part of the process when it comes to scanning. So anytime you can get really good results to take that out, it's the way to go. It's worth spending that little bit of money to save you a lot of time. Silverfast actually supports over 330 different scanner models. I couldn't believe that. I was reading on their website, and they said that they have them all in one place at their office, and I couldn't imagine having 330 different scanners in one building. I don't know if it could be considered a graveyard. I guess maybe they probably have a graveyard for them too. And then they have over 30 different manufacturers. The software does run on a Mac or on a PC. So head over to this link, check out the software. You can download a fully functional trial for it for your individual scanner, and then it works with profiles and things that each scanner can support, that kind of thing. Great software. Can't say enough about it. Looking at my notes here, I think that was it. So check out that scanner review. If you're thinking about buying one, definitely buy that Epson. And also check out the Silverfast software, even if you have a current scanner. Some other news and stuff that was going on. First, a fun video done by the Slanted Lens. He talked about different clamps that you can buy, or you should buy for your studio and basically your gear bag. I had talked about that probably, I don't know, 5 videos ago, like different clamps and grip equipment that I have. And he recommends to start out with, when you're starting out with clamps, to start out with a normal A clamp like I have, and then go buy some super clamps. He actually says to buy 10 of the A clamps, which are really inexpensive, $3-4 a piece, and that's it. And then go get a couple super clamps. They're about $35 a piece, and then buy the big, he calls it a platypus clamp, which is basically but just two huge sheets of metal that are attached to a pair of vice grips, which you could probably have made if you wanted to. Somewhat you could just, if you're handy, you could probably just, tack weld some of them on there. I don't have a welder, and I've never welded, so I'd probably give them to a friend. Maybe I'll try and make one of those one of these days to see how hard or easy it may be. Just buy an inexpensive, or find an old pair of vice grips, and then buy yourself a new pair to replace them, and then use the old pair for that. So it'd be cool. He had a bunch of other ones that he talked about and showed that can be for different applications. So check them out. And he has a ton of really, really good videos. I've met him. I think it was, his name's JP Morgan. I think I met him 2 years ago at Photo Plus, and I'm actually hoping to connect with him, hoping to get him here on the show. So if anyone knows him, or JP, if you're watching, get in contact. I'm going to try and contact you too, so that you can hopefully get on the show. Huffington Post posted an article about whether or not a photo degree is a waste of time. They talked about, number one, about it being a social thing, and it does make you better. The fact that you're out there, you're working with other photographers, they're challenging you, you're challenging them. That brings up the quality of everyone. You get to work with more equipment, which is a definite plus. 9 times out of 10, you as yourself, you're only going to have, when you're first starting out, you're going to have $1,500 worth of equipment, not, $100,000, $500,000 worth of equipment between computers and printers and all the different 4x5 cameras, medium format, all the different lenses, tripod stands, lights, studio space, all of these things that a studio or a school like Antonelli Institute, which is where I went, has, that you're going to be able to use, is huge. Really is huge to be able to have all that and have access to that. Also having access, same thing, professors. Not only do you have professors during school, I've utilized and gotten professors to help me out after school. So after I've graduated, still stay in touch with Drew and a couple of the other professors, which is really nice. They stated in the article that the courses are not responsive to change, and I definitely disagree with that. At least in my experience, Antonelli, especially over the last 10 years, has changed dramatically. Like, for example, they got rid of their color darkroom, completely gone, turned it into another classroom. Now they just have computer labs, because everything's digital or scanning, and that's the way to go there. So I kind of disagree with that. They mentioned teaching yourself to save money, but you and I both know that we just won't do it. We'll watch something here or there, but we'll always let what's going on, the day-to-day grind, get in the way. And so that's an issue. I just don't think that that's an option unless you can really, really set that time aside. It's going to be really difficult to really teach yourself. So you really gotta get out there, take some classes. If you really want to be a professional, you need to be taking those classes, in my opinion. Although I do realize that, number one, it is a personal choice, and number two, if you already have a family, you're in your 30s, 40s, you have a family, you might have a regular job, whatever it will be. It is going to be much harder for you to go and take a class and spend that 40, 50 hours a week for a few years in order to make that happen. And I realize that. But find some kind of an informal class. Maybe go to a school where you can just take a class here and there, and just to help out a little bit. Obviously, keep watching any video tutorials as you can. Sign up for email newsletters or YouTube notifications, like subscribe to my channel. You can actually click on, when you hit subscribe, you hit the little gear icon next to subscribe, and you can then check the little box that says get notifications. I actually just did that today for the Slanted Lens so that I get notifications on all of his videos right from YouTube, which is great. And I subscribe to a bunch of other emails like that. As soon as they post a video, boom, I get an email, and then I go and I watch that video. Like Gary V, I watch all of his. And trying to think some of the others that I have on there that I get them all the time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So some of the things I agree with on this HuffPost article, others I didn't. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Adobe has doubled their profits. Many people criticize Adobe when they switch to their Creative Cloud subscription-only model, but now obviously people are coming around in droves. As the phone rings here, they have added over 800,000 new subscribers in the fourth quarter, and 52% of those subscribers are subscribing on the All Apps package like I have. That's a $50 a month one, and that is a decent amount of money. That is a ton of people. So I guarantee all those people that poo-pooed it and said, no, people never subscribe, I'm going the free software, I'm going to go use the GIMP software. You know what? They're coming around to that $10 a month photography package, or they need 2 apps, and it makes more sense to get all apps than it does to just add an extra, $20 a month for a second app. And so the goal to me is, hopefully this means that they won't be increasing any prices because they're making money on it. It's that same piece of software that they're just sending out to everyone, and that they can now have that money also to keep innovating, because I just feel like it's been stagnant. They've done a lot with Photoshop, and although Photoshop is such a mature program, I don't know how they can add stuff to Photoshop. But Lightroom, to me, still can be improved a lot, and same with Lightroom Web. I think it can be improved a lot, and I talked a lot about the Lightroom Web last week, so go back and check that out if you wanted. But hopefully it'll take a step in the right direction. One other thing from Adobe, then we'll get out of the news and do a couple questions. Adobe Lightroom for iOS, they released Lightroom 2.1. They added point curve, split toning, and live filters, which will allow you to take a photo with a filter applied and actually see it right on your screen before you take it, although it will be a non-destructive, so you can always go back and remove that filter later on. And that's obviously on mobile with your smartphone or tablet, whatever device you're using. I do think it's great to have these features, and they're putting all these out, and they're doing all this work on mobile. But are we actually using it? I don't know. I'd love to see some kind of statistics to show how many people are actually using this and doing something with this, with or without syncing back to a catalog. Maybe they're doing this because they're trying to get people to use this application and compete with some of the other apps that are out there just on mobile, and they're using this as like a loss leader to then, as a freebie that they're giving out, to then get more people to subscribe to their Creative Cloud. Maybe that's a very, very good possibility. To me, already having the Creative Cloud, I need desktop work, man. I need Lightroom on the desktop to be really, really good. And actually, in an upcoming video, I'm going to go over my Lightroom 5, 6, and probably 4, 5, and 6. I think I had done wish lists for all 3 of those versions at different points. And so I'm going to be going over each of those. And so I want to make sure that I'm going to go over those, see if they've added or done anything to them. And so I'm going to review each of that and see how they did and see if it made any difference at all. So we will see. Just need to get them to innovate. Hopefully we can keep pushing that. And if everybody keeps asking for it, I guarantee they'll do something about it. But if everybody just is fine with the status quo, then we're not going to get anywhere, and it's not going to improve. So keep trying, keep pushing. I find Lightroom cataloging confusing, like the way new imports appear to create a subfolder in the left pane. I'm not sure what you mean by Windows Explorer showing different dates. We're going to need to talk about that a little bit more. Hopefully I can help. But as far as the the way it shows that new folder, quote unquote new folder, it's actually not a new folder. They actually call it a collection. And there's actually a checkbox in the preferences. Go to edit and preferences, or under the file and preferences on the Mac. And under general, then you under import options, and then uncheck the box that says select the current/previous import collection during import. And so you can then uncheck that. The only problem with that is that you then need to go down and find your own folder at the bottom, which it would be nice if they just showed those folders, showed the images in that single folder. But then again, you might be importing images into multiple folders. So, this is the way that they kind of got around it, to be able to show those images that you just imported right away. Sometimes the fast way to do it is just leave that turned on, right-click on one of the images, and then hit go to library and show in library, show folder in library, something like that. And sometimes that's a better way to go. But if you get annoyed by that current/previous import collection, you can actually turn that off. What are the differences between the V850 and V700? They both score a 4.0 during DR testing. Waiting for the Silverfast review. Any idea which Epson scanner it comes bundled? The V700 is actually an older machine. I believe they don't make it anymore. The current generation models are the V850 and V800. The V800 is the lower of the two models. I talked about it a little bit at the end of the review, some of the differences there. The main differences as far as stuff that comes with it, you do still get Silverfast with both of those machines, both of those scanners, which is good. Although you don't get the i1 software with the 800, you only get it with the 850. So check out the review. Hopefully at the very end, towards the end, I mentioned the V800 and some of the differences in there. Epson sure makes some nice scanners. How are you liking Windows 10? I've been using Windows 10 now for about 2 weeks, and I do like it. I've been a Windows fan. I've been using Windows since 3.1. That was a long time ago, like 20 some years, 25 years ago, I guess. I got my first copy of Windows, I think it was 3.0 or 3.1. Remember somebody gave it to me on floppy disks, which, the 3 1/4 inch discs, the smaller ones, which was, God, that seems like forever ago. Anyway, I do like Windows 10. It's definitely refined. It makes things easier. The menus are easier. I like the fact that the taskbars are on both windows. I like the fact that their dual screen support is really good. Makes it simpler to add your projector or add your second screen, arrange things. I think they've really refined a lot of stuff inside of Windows 10. I haven't seen any issues so far. Any of the problems or crashes that I've had, I think it more had to do with the hardware or some of the additional software that I'm running. I don't think it had anything to do with Windows 10 itself. The start menu is really nice. I love how when it pops up, you have, whoops, there comes Lightroom. When it pops up, you have the tiles, the live tiles, and all that kind of thing, which I think is really cool. You can pin apps here, which is nice, and there's a lot of really nice stuff, so you should definitely check it out. If you are a current Windows 7 user, you can upgrade your machine for free for probably another 6 or 8 months, something like that, so you might consider doing that. I believe I had read about some tests that were out there on Windows 10 that it was not any slower than Windows 7, which is good. And if you're using Windows 7, it's not going to be like that huge jump from 7 to 8 where it was completely different. It's definitely more 7-like with a lot of the 8 features and the 8 power and the 8 touch interface, that kind of thing. Overall, I think it's a really excellent operating system. Very happy with it. And believe me, it runs really good with 32 gigs of RAM in this new machine, like a top. Applications load faster, all those things load faster. Add an SSD and you get a great amount of performance. So check it out. I do recommend it highly. Any questions on that, I'll do my best to answer those too. I think that is it for Keep Shooting Monday. What was today's number? I forget. I wrote it down. Number 113. Thanks, guys. Keep shooting.